Okay, is that working? It is working. Excellent. All right. Hello, everybody. Soul Commodore back at you again. And normally, today, we would be playing Celeste. And we are going to be playing Celeste a little bit later. But for now, we're going to be doing some oil painting. Because I didn't stream on Thursday. And we were supposed to do some oil painting on Thursday. But we didn't do that. So we're doing it now. But hope y'all are doing well. Just make sure everything's in session here. We're all good. We're all good. All right. Cool. Okay, so let me just get myself together. All right. So far, there's our paint. Peel that off. Beautiful. Is this still tacky? It is still tacky. Look at that. Nice. Nice, nice. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, this is oil paint, but it is water mixable oil paint. It's water soluble, which, you know, it's just a different type of oil paint. So you can actually use this paint and wash your brushes with water. Now, you need a bar of laundry soap as well, but those aren't too hard to find at all. They're not nearly as common as they used to be, but they're not hard to find. So I'm just putting some more black and white on my palette because those are some of the colors we're going to need. Here we go. And before we actually get to painting, I do want to sketch out what we're doing on this. Actually, there's a couple things I want to do. The background here is actually acrylic, believe it or not. So what I want to do actually is I want to extend the frame of the painting a little bit further. So I'm just going to grab some white acrylic paint real quick. We'll paint that on. That'll dry in a matter of minutes. And then we can move on. To actually doing the oil. Now you might be looking at this and you might be curious as to why I've got paper behind here. Well, that is because we're actually painting on raw canvas. It's not previously gessoed. It's not already primed at all. This is just completely raw canvas, and as such, your base layer of paint will go right through, which usually isn't too big a deal if you're painting in a studio space where they can just like paint the walls after, which, you know, not to say that I can't paint the walls here, I can, but I'd rather not all this paint that we're putting in the background go right on my wall. That would be a no bueno. So And I chose to try this with the not pre-primed canvas. I decided to try raw canvas because, one, I've never really tried it before, and two, it's cheaper. And when I was buying the canvas for this big project, you want to save money everywhere you can, so I decided to save money by buying a bunch of raw canvas instead of just doing pre-primed. I don't know why I'm saying pre-primed, it's just primed. That's the terminology, just primed. Okay, so we just got a little bit more to do, just along the top here, and then we can get to work on what's actually going to go in the center of this. Now, I don't know if you can see it from home, but sometimes if you leave canvas out or in a certain position, it will get, it'll get wrinkles in it. It's fabric, right? It's a type of fabric, basically, right? Not any different than, cotton or polyester or whatever. Like it's gonna wrinkle if you leave it in a certain position for too long. So, with that being said, you might notice that there are some lines in here because I just kind of had this piece just kind of hanging out for a bit and it got some lines in it. But that's no problem because what you can do actually is canvas is very pliable. Canvas is very stretchy, it's pliable. You can work with it that way. And as such, when the time comes, what we're going to do is we're just going to spray the back of this canvas after we stretch it on an actual frame. We're going to prime it. No, what am I saying? We're going to spray the back of it with some water. And then we're going to take a hairdryer or another heat source, but probably a hairdryer. And we are going to just make things a little humid. And as the water dries, it'll actually tighten up the canvas and get rid of those wrinkles. So, here we go. All right, so now we've extended our frame, which is what I wanted. And now, we're going to sketch out the figure that we're actually going to be painting. So we're only going to work on this for about an hour today because, like I said, we are also playing Celeste. But I figured this would be a nice start to the day. So, let me grab my pencil, and I'm going to not minimize, but I am going to drag this screen over. And there we go. I'm gonna have to zoom in on this, that's fine. Oh, no, what are you doing? I don't need it blown up that much. There we go. Okay. Now, actually, I wonder if this would be easier with charcoal. Let me go grab my charcoal. Oh, it's right here. Beautiful. Because this will probably it'll probably show up better with charcoal. Plus, like charcoal, like if things don't work out all right, you can just paint over it. Pretty easy that way. So, what do I want to do here? Do I want the figure leaning back? Or do I want them... Well, I do like where that leg is. So... we'll start there, I think. I'm just kind of setting out a roadmap of what it is that we're going to be doing. Actually, I think leaning back is actually the way to go. Although I am going to have his jacket kind of flared out a bit, like it is here. Yeah. But I hope you all are having a good day. It's been kind of a slow day for me so far. Haven't really done too much. Got up this morning and did dishes. that's about it. Nothing too drastic. Like I said, this is a very rough sketch. Just kind of outlining what it is that we're going to be doing. Just kind of landmarking things, seeing where we're going to put stuff. Like, I know that looks like a mitten right now, but he's not going to be wearing mittens. the head. But we don't have to do too many details on the head. And you'll see why in a second. Well, more than a second, but we won't have to do too many on there. Okay, I think that looks good. I think that looks lovely. Bear with me, I'm just checking something right quick. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, good. We don't need this anymore. So put that back in here. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to go wash my hands real quick because I don't really want to get charcoal all over my brush. So I will be right back. All right, I'm back. So, now we can grab our palette and let's make sure there's nothing really on the back before I put it down on this. And another thing I'm going to do is put on socks because the floor is a little cold in here and I forgot to put on socks earlier. There's one. There's two. Okay, so there we go. Let me bring my reference image back up. So right now what we're going to be doing is just blocking in color. And I want this dude's suit to be gray-ish. Gray-ish. But not completely gray. There's going to be like kind of a blue tinge to it, I think. So I'm just going to clean off my brushes. I always forget how tiny I look over here in the corner while I'm washing off brushes. Okay, that's going to need more work. That's okay. I can use a different brush. Let's use this one. Because basically we're going to be doing layers upon layers of color here, so. And also, let's see if I can get you guys a little closer. There we go. Okay, so we've got our oil paint here, and we're gonna just mix some of this blue in with a little bit of red. Actually, that was too much red, so we're gonna add some more blue to it. Yo, Xanity, welcome in. How you feeling? How you feeling? Suit up indeed. Now we'll add a little bit of black. And some more blue. Still feeling sick? I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully it clears up soon. I mean, you never really can tell with COVID, but hopefully you'll be on the mend soon. Other than that, okay-ish? Well, I'm glad to hear that. We're just working with some paint right here. Yeah, definitely fingers crossed. Okay, so let's just see if this is the color that I want. I think it is. I think that is the color I want. So we're going to go a little darker for the underside of the jacket. I'm actually going to... I'll be right back again. I'm going to go grab a chair. Just because this is kind of a weird angle to paint at, standing up. So here we go. Chair time indeed. Okay, that's better. This is going to be much easier to paint with. Okay. Also, congratulations, Xanity. You were the first one in chat. And your prize is the satisfaction of knowing you were the first one in chat. That is your prize. So out here is going to be a little bit lighter, and then as we move in toward the body, it'll get darker, which makes sense. Mr. Krabs, he was number one. You know what's funny? Growing up, I didn't really watch SpongeBob all that much. Because when it really got popular and really started popping off and everybody was watching it, I was kind of foolishly over kids' TV by then. You know, because that's the nature of being a teenager, is you think you're above things. And I was kind of above children's programming at that time. And it's kind of sad because I feel like I missed out in real time on like a cultural milestone, you know. And of course I could go back and like watch it now, but you know, still a little bit sad that I didn't allow myself the enjoyment you know?
I don't think I ever really left cartoons behind, but if you can find a way to watch SpongeBob, there's still some ways it's relevant. It can be good background noise.
Fair. Fair. The adult fan club of SpongeBob runs strong. That's also fair. Okay, so this painting is starting off well.
I'm not a huge fan, but it was always on TV when I was home.
Fair. Fair. Speaking of like kids shows and cartoons and stuff, you know what show I never could get into? And I mean, to be fair, I was not the demographic for it when it was on the air in Canada. But even still, it just annoyed the hell out of me. And my sister loved it. Was Teletubbies. My younger sister loved Teletubbies. So she would want to watch it after Arthur every morning before we go to school. And it was, God, what an annoying show. What an annoying show that was. Yeah, no, indeed. That's what's falling. It's charcoal.
Stayed with my dad and stepmom for a summer. She had this weird thing. She didn't want me reading in the morning, so I was literally forced to sit and watch Teletubbies.
Oh no, that sucks.
I don't know what it is about some parents. It was my half brother's favorite, so we got to listen to that soundtrack or Coldplay for bed every night.
I don't mind Coldplay, but the Teletubby soundtrack would be rough.
I don't know what it is about parents who
Actively like dislike it when their kids read. That is never. I've never been able to understand that in all the years that I've been on this planet. Reading used to be one of my favorite things to do. It still is. I feel like I still read as much as I used to. It's just I read more stuff on the internet now than I actually do like a physical book. But I still read. Like reading is important. I think it is, at least.
She claimed it was escapism, but she wasn't all right herself, had a lot of contradictory neuroticisms. I read much less than I used to, but I got through 2 books this year, which felt great.
Oh, nice. Congrats. That is awesome. And like I get that it's escapism, but I mean like everything's escapism. Like we all crap. We all need to escape sometimes. You know?
because I'd rather not have oil paint stains on my pants. This is why I usually wear track pants when I paint and whatnot, but all my track pants are in the wash. Which books were they? If you don't mind me asking. You just dab it. Oh, actually, that's coming up pretty good. Okay, I think we saved it. When cleaning paint off of your clothing, as I've said before, believe it or not, for acrylic paint, rubbing alcohol does wonders, especially if you can get it on the paint right away. And if you're using water-soluble oil paint, just use some of the soap that you use to clean the brushes and dab. Make sure you always dab before you start rubbing. You know, it's very important. There we go. Singularity's Ring by Paolo Melco, a beautiful sci-fi book where humans are genetically engineered to function in groups called pods, and can exchange memories and information through pheromones or touch. Interesting. I thought it was a really good analogy to having a dissociative identity disorder. I could see that. I could see that. Rubbing alcohol heard. I have special brush paint. Ah. Nice. Okay, after that slight detour, where I had to clean my pants, we are now back to putting paint on the canvas. And again, just like the other piece, well, all 10 of these pieces are going to be the same, but I'm not so much concerned with getting like high realism. I just kind of want to like put down shades and kind of map things out, you know. I'm not too concerned with everything looking super realistic. Because the feeling and the emotion in these pieces is what I'm more going for, more so than any sort of like high realism. The acrylic landscapes that I'm doing also, those will have a higher degree of realism, I think. But this is a little bit less. I know I finished another book, but I can't remember what it was at the moment. Hey, no worries. No worries. But we definitely stand books here. This past year, the most notable book I read was I found a copy of The Shining. Not The Shining. Well, I found a copy of The Shining. I haven't read it yet. The Shining is my favorite movie, but I've only read the book once before, and that was years and years and years ago. So I'm excited to dive into it again. No, I also found a copy of The Exorcist, which is one of my favorite movies, again. But I had never read the book, so I picked up the book and found it at a thrift store, actually. And picked that up, started reading it. It's so interesting when you've seen the movie but you haven't read the book. It's really, I don't know. I find it really cool to like sit there as you're reading through the book and figure out what pieces they took for the movie and what they didn't, you know? Oh, you have an old copy of The Shining too, huh? Nice, nice. You never finished it. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. horror was never really my thing, and I got the book when you were 15. There's a lot of detail in it, my lord. Yeah, that's what I've heard about Stephen King books. And from what I remember the first time I read The Shining, yeah, a lot of detail. I always find clothing so difficult to do. It's part of the reason why I've always been, well, not always, but why I'm sometimes hesitant to do figure work. I mean, I could just do figures that aren't wearing clothes, but okay, we'll come back to that. In the meantime, we'll move on to the jacket. Do you think you'll ever go back and read The Shining? Because I know you said horror is not really your bag, but just for the sake of completing it. That's actually one thing that I read online, because I'm on the books subreddit. And there's a lot of sentiment in there now, which I didn't realize was a big thing in the book community for like avid readers, where a lot of people will like struggle through a book that they're not really enjoying. And there are a lot of people in those threads that are like, hey, if you don't enjoy a book, you don't have to read it. Which, I mean, seems novel, but like it seems like well, obviously you don't have to, but there seems to be, like, in the arts, like, if you're struggling with a work, that you have to kind of like just struggle through it. And it was refreshing to hear people be like, no, like, if you don't enjoy a book, like, you don't actually have to read it. You are not obligated to. Just like you're not obligated to like sit through a bad movie if you're not enjoying it. What a freeing thing that was. Growing up and realizing that, hey, if I don't like this movie, I can just leave the theater. Like, I don't have to stay here. You know, like, I paid money and I'm missing out on that, but whatever. I'm not liking this movie right now, so I'm gonna leave. You know. And it's such a freeing feeling to know that, you know. When I used to work at Sport Check, and a good friend of mine, she worked with me. Like, we actually met at Sport Check. And often you would go to different conferences where they were like rolling out new equipment. So for instance, she worked in hard goods, right? Which is like a lot of like sporting equipment, like hockey, you know, skiing, basketball, all that kind of stuff, right? That's all hard goods. Soft goods was clothing, and then of course there was footwear. At the time, I was working in the back, but I had started in footwear. I had gotten my start at Sport Check in footwear. So we were often tasked to go to these conferences. Well, two people were going to go with me to the footwear conference. But for whatever reason, I think because like inventory was going on at the same time, they couldn't go all of a sudden. So I had to go alone. So I had to go to York University for this conference, which is not an easy place to get to in Toronto. Not an easy place to get to, right? So, but I make it there. None of my managers, and at this point, like, we weren't closing yet. Because when we were closing the store, I was promoted to footwear and soft goods manager. But when we were where we were at that time, none of my managers told me that I should wear athletic gear. Like I should bring like sweatpants or shorts and like an athletic tee, you know, like a workout shirt, because you're going to be testing out some of the new things that they're rolling out. I didn't know this. I had no idea. So there are all these people in sportswear, and there I am in a sweater and jeans. And we had to do like running, we had to do all sorts of stuff. And people were looking at me sideways because I'm not wearing what you usually would wear to these things, you know. And that was the morning. This was like a whole day thing. Basically, like you missed a day of work to go to this conference. And on top of that, the lunch was sandwiches and like some fruit, right? The thing is, all the sandwiches were comprised of, you know, your standard like lunch meats and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. There were some vegetables on there too, which I can deal with. That's fine. But each sandwich had either mayo or mustard on it. And I hate both of those things. So I couldn't eat any of the sandwiches. By the way, like, if you're doing like a neutral thing where like you have to have sandwiches and food for people, just put butter on it. Put butter on it. Like, unless if you're lactose intolerant or you're vegan, obviously you can't have butter, or you know, like, but I hate mayo and I hate mustard. Just put butter on it. Butter is neutral. So lunch for me that day, because we didn't bring our lunches because they said like don't bring a lunch. Yes, there's also celiacs. Like if you have celiacs, you can't have sandwiches anyway. You know. So first of all, like have multiple options for people. Actually, no. I think they said like that's what they're making, but if they didn't give details on what was going to be in the sandwiches, and I think they did say if you do have dietary restrictions, like you should bring your own lunch. But I didn't have dietary restrictions other than I don't like mustard or mayo, so I couldn't eat anything. So I had an apple. So that was fun. And then in the afternoon, we tested out a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, for these conferences, you usually got free gear, right? And they would ask, like, hey, what size shoe are you? What size clothes do you wear? So I gave all that information, because usually at the footwear conference, they give you new shoes. They didn't. None of us got new shoes. I won a shirt. So we get through all of that, and the day ends, and they won't, like I leave, and of course they let us go in rush hour traffic in downtown Toronto. So that it was real fun trying to get out of there. I talked to my friend the next day about how terrible this conference was, and she's like, "Oh man, you didn't just leave?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She had gone to the hard goods conference a couple of weeks before, and just at lunchtime she just left because they didn't take attendance, and she was like, "This sucks. I'm gonna leave." And I was like, "I could have left. I could have left at any time and actually enjoyed my day, but I didn't because I'm an idiot." So they also didn't validate my parking, which that made me angry. Because they said, like, "Oh yeah, no, we will validate everyone's parking." They didn't validate my parking. I was homeless for a while in February of 2022, and a lot of default foods offered at the shelters and charities and such were all foods with gluten. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks. Also, sorry to hear that you were homeless for a bit. I think schools and places definitely need more variety, and telling people the toppings of the sandwich, so important. Lots of people don't like mayo. Yeah, like if they had said what was on the sandwiches, I would have brought my lunch. I would have brought my own. Go to a footwear conference and walk away with a new shirt. Weird. Dang, I would not go back. Well, don't you worry, Xanity. Our particular branch of Sport Check closed down later that year. Like they just shut the store down. Because it was between us and another store, and our store was more expensive to run, so they shut us down. And I left the world of retail after that. Mayo is gross. How's it going, Squid? I mean, a lot of people like mayo, and I mean, more power to them. I can't stand it. Congrats on leaving the world of retail. Very soul-sucking for many people. Yeah, for me it wasn't so much soul-sucking, although it definitely had its moments sometimes. But thankfully, most of the people I dealt with, like they were fine. The people were by and large fine. And this was like in the before times, before COVID, right? So before everybody lost their minds, in terms of like how to talk to customer service representatives. So I was more or less treated like a human being. But I was just like, nah, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to make a career out of this, so I need to change. And the store closed down, and they were like, you can transfer to another store if you like. And I was like, no thanks. No thank you. Also, like I said, I started in footwear, but they hired a full-time footwear guy, but my manager at the time didn't want me to lose any hours, so he transferred me over to shipping and receiving in the back, so I didn't have to deal with customers very often anyway, which was nice. I spent the majority of my day in the back room. So that working there kind of was my coming of age in terms of like who I was going to be as a person, right? And as an example of that, I'll give this. So when I was moved to the back of the store, because again, my manager, he was a G, and he didn't. Well, I mean, he actually is kind of a scuzzy guy, but when I knew him, he was a G and didn't want me to lose hours, so he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna move you to the back and work in shipping and receiving." I was like, "Okay, cool." And the district store manager came in, and he was like, on my first day working in the back, he was like, "Hey, are you excited to start your first day, in the back of the store?" And I was like, "Oh man, not having to deal with people anymore? You bet I'm excited."
And then later on, my manager, like when my manager was done for the day, because you had to, everybody who was done for the day, you had to walk them out of the store, right? Like someone had to walk them out. So I walked my manager out, and or was he walking me out? No, yeah, he was walking me out because my shift was done. Yeah, because the manager had to walk you out. Make sure you weren't stealing nothing. And my manager goes, "Listen, it's not a big deal," and he thought it was funny. But just for future reference, you probably shouldn't tell the district manager of a store that you're so excited to not work with people, because some of them might take offense to that. And I was like, I mean, I get that, but also I don't care. And that was the day that I kind of solidified, like, I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna mince words with people just because they're an authority figure. I'm not gonna lie, just to look good. It's like, no, I was excited that I didn't have to deal with the floor anymore. And if a district manager can't handle that, well, that sounds like a him problem. Anyway, it was one of those moments where I was just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say, and people can like it, or people cannot. Like, I'm not gonna be rude, and I'm not gonna like. I understand there's a need, there's a usefulness for tact, right? And I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm excited to like work in the back, and I'm not gonna hide the reasons for that, I think that's kind of harmful in a way. To just pretend for the sake of saving face. I prefer receiving and shipping too. I interviewed at a big grocery store, and they wanted me on cashier, and I fought for receiving. Yeah. Receiving was nice. The job I had after Sport Check was also in receiving, and I don't work in receiving now. Now I do like admin work, but at the time, like, I really did enjoy receiving. The only reason I got out of receiving and was looking for a way out of receiving was not my employers, strangely. I've mentioned this on here before, but not everybody's here all the time. I worked with a dude who was at my last job. I worked with a dude who was in his 60s, right? Very, very strong, good dude, real good dude. But I would look at him, and sometimes, like, at the end of the day, like, he would be beat, right? Because, I mean, the whole job was shipping, receiving, packing, all that kind of stuff. And some of the stuff that we carried was heavy. And I decided, it's like, listen, when I'm in my 60s, I want to be able to regularly lift 50-pound boxes. Like, I want to be able to do that on the daily. But I don't want to have to do that, else I lose my house. That does not sound like fun. So I need to change things up. And that's when I started looking for admin jobs but very few places were hiring at the time. So I didn't get any bites, and then COVID hit. So I was unemployed for a year and a half or so. They were like, that's where the problem employees go. You're very personable. Why not work the floor? Because my people skills are great and fleeting. There you go. There you go. Also, that's where the problem people go. No, that's where you decide to put them. You know, our entire shipping and receiving people were great. They weren't problem people. They weren't people that you couldn't put out on the floor. They were just people who preferred to do shipping and receiving. Plus, I'm really glad that I worked shipping and receiving, because in the job that I have now, I haven't seen it, but like some people that I have dealt with before in admin kind of like look down on people who work in the back, you know, and work in shipping and receiving and don't work out on the floor or like handle calls or anything like that. Like they kind of look down on them, and it's like I'm glad I never did, thankfully, because you know my parents raised me right. But I'm glad that I got the perspective of like working in a warehouse, you know, and working in the back and seeing like what goes on behind the scenes to get stuff done, you know. Yeah, these were more outspoken folks or less socially skilled or people with English as a second language, so there were problems in how management arranged things. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of soft bigotry of in labor jobs. Sometimes it's not even that soft. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this jacket. I'm going to finish painting the jacket. Like, I'm not going to do all the details with the wrinkles and all that. That'll come later. But for now, we're just going to finish the jacket, and then we'll switch over to Celeste. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Yes. Actually, today was supposed to be just Celeste, but I missed the painting stream on Thursday, so we're making up for it now. But yeah, once I finish this jacket, we're gonna switch over to Celeste. I feel so lucky getting both in one stream. Hey, well, I'm glad. Man, it's so weird working with oil again. After having not done so for years and years and years.
How's the show prep going? Are you excited? I am excited. I'm not nervous yet, but I am getting excited. But it's going well. It's going well. A little bit slower than I would like, honestly, but that's all right. That's all right. I'm gonna get a lot of stuff done this weekend. So, I never got to work with oil. I know that the time it takes to dry is intimidating for me. I mostly use acrylic and often do a whole painting in one sitting. Hey, there you go. There you go. Nice. Yeah, the dry time. There's obviously like pros and cons to both mediums, right? Acrylic, and I love the challenge with acrylic that you have to work fast, right? Because it dries very quickly, right? But I do enjoy that I can kind of take my time with the oil. Another thing too is that oil is so much more expensive, right? And if you're using true oil paint instead of the water mixable, you can get exposed to some pretty nasty stuff in terms of like the chemicals that they put in oil paint. You know, but I think that's also dependent on where you live, because I'm pretty sure like some places probably have regulations as to what you can use. But I hear that whole finishing a painting in one sitting. We did that on stream once, actually, where I did a painting and then it was acrylic, and we just streamed until I was done. That was fun. The stream cut out about 5 hours in, so I had to like restart the stream. So it was technically a 5-hour session and then a 3-hour session, but it was a good 8 hours total. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a fun day. It was also very funny because I would like the moment that my internet cut out and the stream died was right at the exact moment that I said that the longest stream, like we had just passed the threshold for the longest stream that I had done before, like we broke that. And I was like, yeah, because the last time I tried streaming this long, my stream died. But thankfully, it doesn't look like it's going to happen this time. And then my stream, the internet went out, like immediately. And I was like, are you serious? It was serious. It was like, oh yeah, watch this. I came back and everyone who was still in chat was like, oh my god. That was funny. So we had a good laugh about it, thankfully. Okay, we're almost there. the hand's going to be covering up most of that anyway, so we don't have to worry too much about how that looks. Okay, there we go. All right. So let me just wash off this brush real quick, and then we'll take a quick break while we switch over to Celeste. But first, let me wash this brush. Y'all can just look at the piece, enjoy it. All right, there we go. Hey, thank you, Squid. I appreciate that. It's fun to watch the process and see the final results, because sometimes I overthink shadows and highlights in my pieces, and you just made it look all so easy and second nature. Well, the fun part about that, Xanity, is it's actually not second nature. I also struggle with shadows and highlights, so that's why I've got a reference image up. Because there ain't no shame in using a reference image to make sure that things get right. Yeah, because I do not have a handle on that either. So don't you worry. Yes, references are king tier. Yes, indeed. Okay, so there are a couple things that I have to do. Namely, I gotta switch over to Celeste. I gotta wash this paint off of me, and I also have to. What else do I gotta do? Oh, I gotta get my laundry out of the washer, put it in the dryer. So we're going to go to a quick break right after I wrap this up. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. And then I will see you all in my comfy little chair, and we will be playing some Celeste. So, let me take one last look at this. It's looking pretty good so far. Looking pretty good so far. And yeah, I'm gonna go get cleaned up, get things taken care of, and we'll see you all Celeste next time. Well, next time in like 5 minutes. It'll be about 5 minutes or so. So go take a break, go to the bathroom, grab a snack, whatever you need to do, and we'll hopefully see you all in about 5 minutes. Okay? All right. Take it easy. Just for now. Just take it easy for now, and then we'll be back and trying not to lose our minds playing Celeste. All right. Be right back, y'all.